Hello and welcome back to the Wild Ones podcast, the show where we chat about bike stuff. I'm Jimmy, and this week I'm joined by producer Emily.
Hello.
And Francis.
Hey.
And thanks to Garmin for supporting the podcast and helping us to bring you shows like this for free.
Can you say that louder? Because my right ear is blocked, Jimmy.
Blocked with what?
I hope earwax.
Again?
But I put lots of different things in my ear, so I don't know. It could be anything. I can hear you, Emily. That's fine. Today I'm just not going to talk to Jimmy. Well, I'm not going to listen to him. I talk at you.
It's time to get your syringe thing out and do
the brake bleed kit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that did do the job last time.
What's going on with you two?
I got a phone call this morning. Well, I actually had a missed call because I generally don't answer phone calls, and I probably should. But I don't want to be rude to this person because they might listen to this. But someone that isn't work-related has managed to get my work phone number and phoned me. To be honest, I didn't even listen to it. Did you listen to it?
I just heard the first bit of I'm a long time fan of the channel, and can you recommend a bike fit? Which is fine, it's fine, except from someone has got hold of your number.
Yeah, I don't
and
know
that is
how.
a little bit worrying. Jimmy, you are like the Brad Pitt of cycling. You're such an A-lister now.
Jimmy, your phone number must be online somewhere.
It has to be.
Because I've never been around someone to have so many spam phone calls from like dodgy call centers asking you to buy insurance or that your house is burning.
Well, it's just that the work number is very much a work number. We get lots of deliveries and it gets used on lots of websites and businesses and things like that. So it's going to get shared around in the scamming community for sure. But now it seems to have got into the general public community as well. Somehow. I have no idea how, because I definitely don't put it outward anywhere.
So hopefully you don't have to change your number. No hate to this person, but also just a message to all of our listeners. If you find our phone numbers, just pretend you haven't, I guess. just don't ring them.
Well, to be fair, I don't reply to my friends, so it's someone that I don't know.
Fat chance getting a reply.
Yeah.
It's true. I sent him about 20 WhatsApps last night. He didn't reply. He goes blue. He's seen it. No reply.
Well, I won't have seen it in a sense of having looked at it. My phone might have done something with it.
It was pictures of McLovin and saying he looks a little bit like
I
Nick.
did see that.
Yeah.
I did see that. Yeah. Yeah, you were right.
Thanks.
There's your reply. Have we been rude to this guy? No, I suppose not.
To who?
If you are a listener...
All of these people are listeners.
No, the person that phoned me. If the person that phoned me is a listener, then go to Google, type in local bike fit, enter. Good luck.
Oh, so you did reply.
Yeah, that's my reply.
That's his desired. He's buzzing about that. There's going to be a live podcast broadcast.
And then go to your phone, find Jimmy's number, press delete.
He's definitely going to spam it all over the internet now, isn't he?
Oh, well. Okay, shall we do some news, Jimmy?
Well, it's not
Oh,
me,
no,
is
wait,
it?
it's not. Shall we do some news, Francis?
Yeah, let's do it. First up, things don't seem to be going well for Swiss bike brand BMC. And reports suggest they could be about to lay off a quarter of their staff. That's about 40 employees worldwide. Now, the exact number hasn't been confirmed. Sadly, it'll actually be BMC's third round of redundancies in 3 years. And they say this latest decision has been influenced by the uncertainty around Donald Trump's tariff policies, and that cost-saving measures are necessary to put the company back on sound economic footing. A bit of background on BMC. They started in 1986 building bikes for rally in Switzerland. In 1994, they lost that license, rebranded to BMC, and started making their own bikes. Do you know what BMC stands for?
I don't. My first thoughts were British manufacturing company, but it would make more sense that it was actually something horrible like bicycle manufacturing company.
Spot on.
Is it actually?
Yeah,
that?
I knew it was generic, and then we researched this. I was like, oh yeah, it's really generic.
I was thinking because of the rally thing that it was just going to be like British manufacturing company or
It's not British, though.
rally is.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay. Got it. Yeah.
They specialize in mid to high-end bikes. Their headquarters are in Grenchen, Switzerland, but like many brands, made in Taiwan. BMC has seen some world tour success, most notably 2011 with Cadel Evans winning the Tour de France. Philippe Gilbert, in his later years, 2012 Road Racing Championship on a BMC. Floyd Landis also won a Tour de France and then was stripped of his title, 2006. But in 2023, the brand left the World Tour for the first time in 2 decades. AG2R Citroën became Decathlon AG2R, and then they're obviously riding Van Rysels.
Von Riesel.
Van Rysel. The same year, several BMC employees were made redundant following decreased demand after the COVID boom. A further 11 employees were let go in 2024 after an application for wage relief was denied by the local government in Switzerland. But on a more positive note, their bikes will be back in the Tour de France this year as UCI Pro Team Tudor make their debut.
It is rubbish for the staff, isn't it?
I have a conspiracy theory.
Do you?
Do you want to know what it is?
Is it a conspiracy theory?
This is a conspiracy theory. So, I won't say what the team is or what the bike brand is, but I know a bike brand paid 2 million euros to sponsor a World Tour team. I know that as a fact.
Right.
But that's about how much it costs, right? Depending on the level of the team. I suppose Tudor. 40 members of staff, 50,000 euros each, 2 million euros.
So what's the conspiracy?
They just kicked out loads of staff in order to sponsor a World Tour team.
Oh, they've not played Tudor 2 million, surely.
I know, you're the pro racing man. How big are Tudor?
Well, Tudor, the watch.
No.
The watch brand are very big.
I don't care about. I don't know what Tudor is.
Well, they're not top flight, are they?
Neither was the team that I'm talking about. 2 million. And that's without activating it. The done thing is to then use half of that budget again to activate the sponsorship and send your people there and take photos and do video and all that sort of stuff.
Can you imagine how much these brands could do if they spent the millions that they spend on pro cycling?
And this is without the bikes.
Just marketing, working with really good ambassadors, working with influencers, working with social media people, but like in a really good, productive way.
You'd run out of ambassadors.
It's insane, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. And don't forget that's without the cost of the bikes, which I guess some of them get sold, but pretty much written off. 4 bikes a ride. You like race bike, they're probably going to crash one. So probably 2 race bikes, spare bike, TT bike, track bikes for some of them, spare TT bikes for the serious riders. And how many people on a team? 40, 50?
It's hundreds and hundreds of bikes.
Yeah.
God, the cost is massive, isn't it?
I feel as if it's not worth it, but I maybe it is. Clearly they keep doing it.
Wow, it isn't.
And they only have to let go 40 members of staff to make it happen.
I guess maybe the thought process is, well, it doesn't seem worth it, but also if everyone else is there and you're not, does it feel like you're missing out on something, especially if they've come from a place where they've been there for 2 decades? I can see how the mentality would be, oh, things aren't going well. Oh, yeah, but we're not in the World Tour anymore. I don't know.
I suppose they're basically betting and hoping that one of the riders on the team will get a big result.
Well, it would
which
be
is what they were
Alaphilippe,
getting
wouldn't it?
back in BMC when it was Team BMC. I can't remember the other sponsors.
Yeah, but what return is that big result? What's the
Winning the Tour de
financial
France.
return on that big result?
It is big. People go and buy BMCs because CADE Evans won a BMC. Maybe not the 2012 Road Race Champs as much, but definitely the Tour de France win.
The apps, surely.
They were popular then. They were sold in the UK. They're not even sold in the UK anymore. Zyro Fisher dropped them, but they used to be exclusive to Evans, and Evans was massive. And loads of people, like, you go to a club ride, people would be on BMCs.
Yeah.
And now you don't see them anywhere in the UK anymore. So at least there was some backstory there. Thank you for the script terminology.
Very well.
For the UK viewers who might have started cycling after 2012 and never seen one.
This is the actual problem. I guess what you get is they've gone through a real glory day, and then maybe their relevance has dropped off because of the lack of results and stuff. Like, I know it's an incredibly expensive game sponsoring the Pro Tour, but actually if your team's doing well, look at Colnago. Like, they are absolutely, we read a story last year that basically says they're absolutely smashing it now because of Pogacar and probably now Del Toro and all of that.
Same thing happened to Pinarello.
Yeah.
It's just like a hope. Sponsor and hope. I know the team I was just talking about, they were basing their sponsorship on one rider who then left the team, and then they only signed again with a similar deal, I presume, for another one rider to achieve one thing. Luckily, they did.
I imagine with a team like Tudor, you're putting your hopes on Alaphilippe winning a stage of the Tour.
Right, is he star rider for...
Because he's French and it's the Tour de
Wow,
France,
okay.
maybe. But I mean, like, you know, they've blamed the tariff insecurity as well, or the uncertainty around it. We talked about this before. We knew it was going to have some kind of ripple effect. Earlier this month, we saw Rota close their US office due to ongoing tariff insecurity as well. They're a Spanish company. They basically do all their dealings from Europe anyway, but they had a US office and they kind of went, let's just get rid of that. We'll do everything from Europe again. So there are changes going on.
I honestly, I hate PR responses to downsizing, because the actual reason they're laying off staff is because they bought too much stuff and not sold enough stuff.
And they look for other things to blame it on.
Yeah, and just for the PR response, like, oh yeah, these horrible things have caused all these problems. No, you've just planned badly.
Your
forecasting hasn't worked.
It's going to affect the 6 bikes that they sell in the USA. Maybe I'm wrong. As US viewers, I haven't seen a BMC, and I've spent a lot of time in the US. Maybe they're all in one state.
You've given that side of the opinion. For balance, I'll give the other side of the opinion that if you are a company producing in Taiwan, it will undoubtedly affect your company. Like, I don't know how much of their sales is done in the US, but that is going to have an effect.
Mountain bikes, maybe?
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah. Right.
This is it. Like, we don't know the ins and outs of their business, but I can imagine if you are producing in the Far East, there will be undoubtable effects, knock-on effects to your business. They've obviously been going through some sort of turmoil ever since the COVID decrease, as has everyone in the industry. So it feels like it's just kind of like a rolling stone of issues for them. But this actually isn't the only BMC news to come out this week, because they have just released a customizable version of their Teammachine R01 frame set. The only catch is they won't actually customize it for you. So essentially, they will sell you a raw carbon, ready-to-paint frame for £4,500 or about $5,000, and you can then pay someone else to paint it for you. Or have a go yourself.
Some spray cans.
I guess.
$4,500 frame with a couple of tinnies.
Yeah, in their words, they're offering a blank canvas upon which to design the paint scheme of your dreams. What do you think about this idea?
Well, they're not the first to do it. Time definitely sell raw carbon frames. I'm sure other people do too. I was
trying to remember who it was.
Yeah, Time do. But like, yeah, I guess, you know, it's interesting for some people. As someone that has had a bike resprayed and have removed the paint myself, it is a beast. So if it is something you definitely want to do, getting it in raw in the first place is definitely desirable.
And back to last week's chat, they have left out the endurance bike again. Teammachine's the race one.
Yes, it is.
Well, yeah, obviously you wouldn't want to customize a non-race bike. You want to customize the one that you're going to crash and destroy.
Oh, yeah,
rather than the one that you can train on nice and comfortably. It's the only thing that I do like about this is that they've commissioned a legit artist to promote it. It does very much. When I skimmed over this initially, I was like, oh, cool, they're doing some really tricked out paint jobs that you can get. No, they're not.
It's because a legit artist has done it and it looks good.
Yeah, and then you go, oh yeah, that's what I want. So then you contact this person and go, can you do this for me? And they'll go, yeah, that's £15,000, please.
15?
Well, I don't know. I'm just guessing. It's an artist. It's not going to be cheap, is it?
That was less than I thought.
Oh, right. Yeah. Depends how big they are.
Yeah, this artist that's done it, it's basically like a hand-drawn patchwork design, incredibly intricate. It is not a spray paint in a garage job. I imagine that's a lot of hours of work, and you will definitely be paying a hefty sum if you wanted that. But to be fair, the end product is very cool.
That looks really good. Can we give some BMC some props as well? Because I was on their website yesterday looking at the different models. Their endurance bike, the Road Machine, that is right, looks fast. Just kind of what we were talking about last week. Like, good job. You made a bike that looks like fast. It's got a light on it. I guess that's endurance-y.
Actually, on that topic, we had someone email us in and point out, which was a very good point, on the topic of doing cool marketing campaigns around non-aero bikes. Cervelo Caledonia or Caledonian or
Yes,
something it was called.
They did a video.
They did a video. I'll put it in the description if I can remember. I will make a note to put it in the description. The weird thing, I remember seeing this at the time and being like, they don't really show the bike much in that, but I guess it's about the feeling and the experience, who you are, what sort of person you are when you ride it.
That is also a thing because I'm looking for footage of the bikes and I'll watch a 5-minute video about a bike and there's barely any shots of the bike.
Isn't the Caledonian a race bike, but for gravel? Is it not a really expensive race bike, but
It's
a gravel
very,
one?
very expensive, yeah.
So it does still fit into the super high-end marketing of very expensive products that are for like uber fast people.
Yes, fine, but I guess they're always going to spend more on their expensive stuff because you then get, I guess you get the trickle down, don't you?
The category you're talking, that's just all Cervelo. Just in the same way, all SRAM. It's just performance.
It is, yeah.
Right?
You're
And they might do a relaxed geometry one, but it's your high-end enthusiast.
Yeah, Cervelo are all very boosh. Boosh bosh.
Boosh.
They say the Caledonian doesn't fit into a box nicely.
Of course.
How are you supposed to travel with it then?
It's a bike of its own category for modern road riders aimed for long distance, high pace, no limits, maximum fun.
No limits. We know this is a bad term. You can't use no limits anymore.
Yeah, but definitely don't send it down a mountain bike trail.
It does have limits.
That's true. Yeah, no limits. Stop using that term for your own sakes. Okay, shall we move on?
Yes.
Right. And as we're on the subject of layoffs, I also wanted to follow up on Komoot because you might remember a couple of months ago, we talked about them being taken over, bought out by a company called Bending Spoons. They're a company who had a reputation of buying firms and then gutting the workforce. And sadly, that is exactly what they have done to Komoot as well. They ended up laying off around 80% of the staff.
Wow.
Apparently, around 150 people estimate, according to Escape Collective.
80%.
How is that going to function with 20% of its staff?
Well, I don't know, but this is kind of what Bend and Spoons are specialists at. They just kind of absorb everything. The sad thing about this story is that the employees all genuinely seemed to love working there. There was very much a buy-in of the company culture and the mission, which I think is actually quite rare.
Some guy did a YouTube video about it.
He did. Yeah. It was very much like one big happy family vibes is what I took from it. So you can imagine, when this happened, it was incredibly sore for them. And apparently the severance packages were quite generous, but one of the elements, which was a 10-year subscription to Komoot Premium, was seen as a little bit of rubbing salt in the wounds. The layoffs actually happened just a few weeks after the acquisition, and many of the staff worked remotely, so didn't get to say a proper goodbye. So they all got together and had a lovely big party in the woods instead. And as you mentioned, Francis, someone did a YouTube video about it. Listener Matt showed us this video, and it's incredibly wholesome. So I'll put a link to that down below as well if you want to have a look at it. But yeah, very clearly very passionate people with a real love for the outdoors, and I'm sure they'll go on to do great things as well.
There's two unexpected things here for me. One of which is good severance packages, because I would expect a company that is ruthless to just go bare minimum. So it's nice that they have at least been given some, reward for their service. And how rare it is for a business, particularly of that scale, for people to actually want to be there.
Yeah, crazy.
Like, I know so many people that hate their jobs but do it because they have to do something, and these people seem to actually really enjoy doing what they do.
I've definitely worked for companies where they've been like, we're one big happy family, and you're like, ugh. In like a negative way. I feel like sometimes when you have to say it out loud, it's because you're not actually showing it, whereas in this case it seems like they weren't saying it as much, but everyone really felt it. It was so community driven.
I wish I worked for a company that was like that.
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice to like your colleagues and where you work?
You get a minimum severance package after this podcast.
I approve it. So,
What would be a normal severance package for that kind? What is the minimum? What's the?
It's different because they're not British, are they?
Of course.
In Britain, it's actually pretty ruthless. I think you have to have worked somewhere for 52 weeks to even be entitled to it, and then it's 1 week per year of service.
No way.
So the minimum standard is generally not very much. In the United Kingdom, anyway. It maybe isn't exactly that, but it's pretty close to that in the UK.
It's just sad, isn't it?
Well, good luck to all of you guys for your next things.
Yeah.
And I hope you can enjoy the summer off maybe with your severance package.
It's been a pleasure working with them when I have.
You still can.
Nah, f those guys.
So onto a lighter note, Zipp just released some new wheels that have an inbuilt tyre pressure monitor. So essentially, you set the pressure you want, the sensor monitors it, and it alerts you if it drops. It's designed to work with tubeless, but you will also get specifically designed smart tubes. These come with the wheels and are basically for emergencies if the tubeless flat can't be plugged. The SRAM Axis wheel sensor now comes built into 2 wheel sets. So it's the road and gravel friendly 303 SWs and the 353 NSWs, which are only suitable for the road.
This might sound familiar because in episode 67 of this podcast, we saw the patent for this, which is why we talk about patents, because sometimes they come to fruition. In that patent, it said that it could be used for multiple things, such as monitoring road condition and other such things. But it is, in the end, just a tyre pressure.
They can probably add stuff in the future is
Perhaps.
what they're thinking.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it is absurd and unbelievably unnecessary. And I think what Zipp/SRAM/ that entire group love doing is designing products which need their products. So they have their own tyre now, which is compatible for one of their wheel sets. They now have their own tubes that are incredibly expensive that they're going to say, oh no, you need these tubes.
How much are they?
We looked it up and it's something like 45 euros a tube, $40, somewhere in that kind of space. I'm sure some places will discount them, but ultimately it's a lot of money for an emergency tube. I just think they love, they're like I'm amazed they don't have a bike. I'm amazed they don't have all of the other stuff in between. They want to be able to sell the complete everything that you could possibly want, and they're getting close to it.
This is a bike racer thing. Mm-hmm. You want the pros are going to want to know if they've lost pressure and that it needs to be like a bike change or a wheel change. Mm-hmm. That kind of information is going to be useful in a race, but most people are not in that situation. You could just go, oh, I think like my tire's a bit low. It's low.
Yeah.
I'm not excited about this until it becomes self-inflating tire.
But even then why are you excited for it for that?
Because then I'll be like, it's like bed goes up, bed goes down, Homer Simpson. I would just be doing that on a ride. The same reason I want a dropper on my road bike.
Why?
Dropper goes up, dropper goes down. It's just funny, isn't it?
Just to do it.
Just something, yeah. Just something. Let me enjoy my bikes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can get the self-inflating thing. Visma Lease a Bike is sponsored by...
Does it exist?
I
thought it was just some pro... Yeah. The Marianne Vos one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially in... I think...
But it's slow. It's like only a tiny bit of inflation it gives you. And slow, I think.
Is it slow?
It's for slow punctures.
Yeah, but if you... Combined with the tubeless, it meant she had a bit more peace of mind during the gravel event that she was doing, right?
Yeah. They used it at Paris-Roubaix as well this year. They've been using it for a while now. Yeah.
I think it's clever. It's like... doesn't let your tyre get completely flat.
Yeah, it's just too much stuff. There's nothing wrong with a pump. Just stop a bit.
Well, yeah. For the average person,
Yeah,
100%. Unless someone wants it.
Yeah, fine. I mean, the thing is, SRAM already made this Tyre Whiz aftermarket pressure sensor, which you connect to the Presta valve. So I guess this is just the next evolution of this.
Yep. That's presumably they bought that company and have now just moved it into a rim.
I always wonder how accurate those... One, pressure gauges on pumps versus pressure gauges that you stick onto a valve, because they're always very different. I think they're about as accurate as me going, oh, it's got air in it.
Poking it.
Yeah.
Which is the most appropriate method. Poke. Can I ride it? Yep. Let's go.
Yeah. Can I ride it or not?
Yeah. And it's nearly always can I ride it, even when there's no air in it. You can still ride it. You're not going to have a good time though.
Especially with grass. I just realised I've been riding the 353s NSWs on gravel and shouldn't have been.
Uh-oh.
Don't tell SRAM.
Do you know what? That's actually the reason I put that in, because I thought, I didn't know that. Maybe other people would like to know that as well.
It just goes to show if you're a light rider, you can get away. Small light rider. Just ride whatever. Dylan Johnson, he got hit by a truck as a YouTube guy who races gravel. Like 2 weeks off Unbound, which is his main goal for the year. got hit by a truck. He's in the hospital.
Oh, no.
Which is super sad. But also, he rides road wheels on gravel because it's faster.
But then
They'll show you can get away with it. You'd void your warranty.
well, more than that, going back to the Planet X thing with the snapped fork, the wheels aren't going to be rated for the impacts, and therefore you have a higher chance of your wheel failing and you getting a very serious injury.
Of course, even though Unbound is significantly less impactful than
Doesn't
Roubaix.
matter. Doesn't matter. Don't do what the pros do.
Don't do what the pros do. Hope he gets better soon.
Okay, shall we do fluff up of the week?
I've forgotten what it is.
And there's the fluff up of the week.
Oh no, Jimmy! We were out filming the Massacre video, which went live on Tuesday.
Went live 2 days ago.
2 days ago. Cool bike, cool company. Jimmy was doing what I could hear just snippets, and it was the best piece of
I was going to get an Academy
dialogue
Award,
I've
wasn't
ever
I?
heard Jimmy do to the camera. Oscar worthy. And then our microphone was not on.
The YouTube BAFTA was coming, wasn't it?
It was so smooth and flowing. And as we know, once you've said a paragraph correctly during a filming process of any video, you then can't say it again. Mm-hmm. And then you fluff up your words. Therefore, that's the fluff up of the week.
Yep. I had to re-record it and it was terrible.
You ended up
afterwards.
using the word dickhead in it.
Did I?
Yeah, that's how angry you were after your piece to camera.
Today's episode of the Wild Ones podcast is supported by Garmin.
I've actually been using Garmin bike computers and watches for well over a decade now.
Yeah, me too.
I actually bought my first one in 2012. It was the Forerunner 410, and I was training for my very first triathlon at the time.
And how did that go, Jimmy?
Well, it would have gone great if I hadn't accidentally miscounted my bike laps and got myself DQ'd for doing one short.
Rookie error. You should have used the laps function.
I know. But my point is, Garmin's have been part of our lives for a long time now. So it was a bit of a full circle moment when they came on board to support the channel.
And they don't just make watches and head units with bike-specific GPS mapping and performance monitoring.
Nope. They also make power meters, heart rate monitors, smart bike lights that capture video and alert you when cars are approaching, tax indoor trainers, and so much more.
So thank you to Garmin for supporting this podcast.
Oh, and Francis, Emily and I will also be at Garmin Ride Out on the 31st of May.
Yeah, it's a lovely 80-kilometre route around the New Forest in southern England in aid of Action Medical Research. Plus there's an event village with talks from pros.
So we'll put a link in the description if you want to sign up. And if you're there, make sure you come over and say hi.
Time for some unpopular opinions. We'll read out some cycling hot takes, debate them and decide if we agree or disagree. If you start cycling, you should pay the same amount of money for your equipment, helmet, shoes, pedals, dedicated clothes bag, etc. as you do for your bike. Otherwise, you never reach the potential of the bike. That's his unpopular opinion. What do you think?
Nah. Jean shorts if you want. Pair of trainers if you want. Definitely a helmet.
So you're saying if you had like a Pinarello Dogma, whatever the big
Well,
one
then
is.
you're into like big money territory, aren't you?
Yeah, well, that's the point he's making.
Yeah, so if you have a bike like that, there's two scenarios.
Yeah.
You're a professional cyclist and you're getting it for free.
And therefore, you're also getting your shoes and helmet and glasses for free.
Or you are astronomically rich
Yeah.
and it's not even about the bike.
Is there a minimum standard of stuff? Like we would surely, if you're not blessed with being able to ride in jean shorts, which a lot of people aren't, there's like a certain standard of chamois pad, for example.
For me, the minimum requirements are a very, very good helmet for safety reasons, a good pair of sunglasses for safety reasons. This doesn't mean expensive in either of them because you can get both of those things for cheap. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, a minimum of SPD, so mountain bike shoes and cleats that probably aren't the cheapest shoes because they don't want to be too floppy and soft. They want to be stiff enough that you can pass. They want to be stiff enough that you get good power transfer, and probably a good cycling pad or a more padded saddle.
Depends what you're doing. What if you're just riding through town and you 20 minutes to work? Flat pedal,
But we're assuming that isn't what he's talking about.
pair of Reeboks.
He's saying you should pay the same amount of money for your equipment as you do the bike.
That's absolutely bonkers. Like, it's a $3,000 bike, $3,000 worth of equipment.
definitely used to be a thing where you'd buy
Yeah, that's mental, isn't it?
buy a bike from Evans, and then they'd throw you 10% of the value of the bike in accessories.
Yeah.
Really?
And you'd get like a little lock and some lights or things like that. Yeah. Chain lube.
Yeah, I think it probably isn't. When Jimmy's actually just put it into numbers there, $3,000 on equipment seems... do it if you want to do it, but not necessary.
No, it's not necessary at all. Like, you can do it. There is a limit, though. Like, the most expensive helmets are probably like £400-500. The most expensive shoes are a similar figure. The most expensive jersey and shorts is probably 500, 600, £700. So yeah, you can spend thousands of pounds on this stuff, but you don't need to. Lights, good lights are a good investment, definitely.
True.
I think shoes get overlooked a little bit. Once you're getting into the big money bikes and the expensive fast bikes, people will spend loads of money on wheels, but not shoes. Whereas shoes will probably benefit you more.
Why?
Because it's comfort and it's going to stop you from getting injured, and they're
nice.
They're nice.
They're just real nice. No, it's the comfort thing,
the benefit you get, like going from a good alloy wheel to an okay carbon wheel is quite a lot of money. Whereas a shoe, if you spend £150 on a shoe, it's going to be a really good shoe.
Yeah.
There's definitely
you get more benefit from it.
There's the diminishing returns thing, because when I started getting more serious about road cycling, I bought myself a pair of S-Works shoes, which are incredibly expensive, and I just hated them. They were so stiff that they just hurt my feet so much. And I've since bought, they're still not cheap shoes, but I have those Physique, I don't know what sort they are. They've got some Velcro straps on the Velcro strappy ones. So it was I downgraded from carbon, which was carbon sole on this S-Works, to not. I'm pretty sure they're not carbon, and I purposely went for that because the carbon hurt me, and just so much more comfortable. Again, not a cheap shoe, but there's definitely, I feel like, a diminishing returns thing, and also I guess comfort is very subjective, isn't it?
Yeah, I imagine that's more not down to the sole material. It's one shoe fit and one shoe didn't.
Perhaps but this is it. Yeah, just spending money on stuff isn't going to make it necessarily better for you. That's a hard thing.
There's some Physiques that are so expensive that we have here, and they're just not comfortable. It doesn't matter if they're expensive.
That's the really hard thing about cycling, isn't it? You just have to try. Waste so much money on crap to try.
It is very frustrating. It really is frustrating because, like you're saying, it's a pair of shoes for one person. They'll be like, this is the most comfortable slipper in the world. And for someone else, they'll hate them. Like I've just got... Bont have just sent me a couple of pairs of shoes. So I have like really weird shaped feet, and I wanted something that was really wide and flat, but with an arch. So Bont were very kind enough to send me some shoes, and people go on about Bonts being, they're so stiff, they're so uncomfortable. But for me, they are beautiful. They are so comfortable for me.
And that's actually more to do with the fact that they're wide and they have a straight last rather than actually the stiffness.
Exactly that, yeah.
Yeah, fair.
And the same thing applies to, saddles and bike fit and stem lengths and all of these things. It is quite frustrating. It would be kind of cool, wouldn't it, if there was a company where you could just kind of rent stuff.
Yeah.
You knew it was going to show up a bit knackered, but it was an opportunity to try some shoes and you can actually use them, or rent a stem that's a particular length to see if it actually suits you and things like that, rather than having to buy things.
I got new running shoes from a shop in America called Roadrunner Sports. And I'll go, the negative first is that they really try and sell you their own insoles, and then you're locked in to keep buying the insoles every time they wear out, like $20 or something. But the pair of shoes I bought from them, in the transaction, they're like, if you don't like these, within 2 weeks, you can come back and switch them, which I think is a pretty good thing.
They do that quite a lot in the running space.
Yeah.
So there's companies in this country which do it. I think even Runners Need do it in this country. How they're doing it, I don't exactly know. Maybe it's volume, maybe it's...
I think they just count on people won't take them back because they break them in and then they realize they do like a fitting process, which bike shops should also do. I mean, you haven't had a shoe fitting, have you?
Many years ago.
Okay, yeah.
Not in a modern.
And then if someone's, then you have the problem of those staff in the running shop are trained in how to do it. I think, is that the same from bike shops? People just winging it.
Well, everyone's winging it.
Well, everyone's winging it. Yeah.
Everyone's just trying to sell you products.
Yeah. Which is fine if they end up selling you the right thing.
Yes. Yeah. Does it? Atticus has got like a massive returns thing, haven't they?
I think they do like a 100-day guarantee thing now.
Is it?
100-day comfort guarantee. Try Atticus kit for 100 days. If it's not the comfiest cycling gear you've ever worn, return it for a full refund. No questions asked.
That is bonkers, to be fair.
Yeah, it is. I wouldn't have dared do that.
No, when we owned Atticus, we would never have... like we were confident in it being good, but wow.
Yeah, that sounds like a bad thing to say because we ultimately made the kit. It's not that I don't think the kit is great. It's just like that's a really like scary thing to do.
Yes.
But also confident.
So Atticus are a channel sponsor. They don't know that we're going to talk about this, and it isn't in the script. I've literally just pulled it up. However, on the subject of that, you should buy Atticus clothing because there's a 100-day, no questions asked
and
return.
we're sponsored.
So
Link down below.
if you do want to try kit to know what it's like, buy Atticus. Why wouldn't you? It's got a 100-day, no questions asked return. That's mental.
Yeah, genuinely. And I imagine the reason he's doing this, and I get it, is that actually you don't get that many returns in terms of it doesn't work for me. So
because it's good. Because we designed it.
Yeah. Cool. Shall we move on?
Yes, let's.
I've written Toman in Belgium. I think it was Thomas, and I've put it wrong on the sheet.
Oh.
It
could be Toman.
It could be Toman or it could be Thomas from in Belgium. Says, reading bike reviewers' opinions on how a bike's geometry impacts ride feel is like reading an enologist's opinion on wine tasting. An enologist is a wine specialist. You know,
I didn't know that.
The ones that say, "Oh, this tastes like
You're
tobacco."
you're an enologist.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm definitely not. I'm a. Yep, not shit. Give me more. Pour another one.
Yeah, enologist.
Well, no, these are the people which go like, oh, oaked barrels with a hint of cherry vanilla and some rich tobacco coming through afterwards.
It's got legs.
Yeah. I can see why a wine would taste like an oak barrel because it sits in an oak barrel, and I can see why it would taste fruity. And it feels like any other description is BS. How is it tasting like vanilla or strawberries unless they're putting that in?
I don't think one of the tasting notes is bullshit.
Can fill me. Okay. Toman/Thomas says, it's interesting, it sounds smart and educated, and then you experience the product and wonder how on earth this tastes or rides like the description you read. You read things like, for bikes, it has progressive geometry or it's nimble yet feels planted. And for the average person, it's just too overcomplicated. He says, yes, I get if you are given two different types of bikes, a Canyon Air Road versus an Endurance, for example, you'd notice some difference. But if you have two endurance bikes with different chainstay lengths, most of us will likely never be able to tell the difference. He says, I'm in the market for a new all-rounder bike and I'm lost in literature trying to figure out what geometry will fit me. Yes. This kind of goes back to our previous point of the problem is things feel different to different people. It's incredibly difficult thing, isn't
He's
it?
nailed it. The differences are there, but they're not that big.
Yeah.
There's only so different you can make two triangles and two circles
Yeah.
that you sit on.
And the reality is there isn't even that much difference between materials. There is a difference, but I would say from my experience of having ridden an obscene amount of bikes, especially over the last couple of years, it's things like you ride it and you go, this feels comfortable. Or I can feel road buzz, I can't feel road buzz. It feels light, it feels heavy. And I know that it sounds ridiculous, but it just does when you ride it. Some bikes you ride, and it, regardless of whether they are heavy or light, they ride in a particular way that feels light and agile, and some ride heavy and sluggish.
You do notice it with the other day we had the Masacan out, an aluminium gravel frame, and your Moss, which is a steel round-tubed bike, road bike, and switching between the two, it's like, whoa, this is a big difference. But only because we switched right there. But just jumping on it.
The big difference in that was geometry for me.
Yeah.
Not ride feel. They both ride comfortably. It's just one has a massive drop at the front end and the other one doesn't.
What Thomas or Toman is I think saying is all the little changes in geometry. Do you remember Pinarello when we reviewed the Dogma? and they were like, there's 5 millimeters more fork rake. And like people saying they can feel the difference between that. No way.
Impossible.
No way. Like it is, and with fork rake, it just adjusts how your body adjusts. Yeah. Your brain and body like mesh with the bike after about 5 minutes of riding, and then everything feels the same.
That is the most notable thing of switching all of the bikes that we constantly do is you ride a bike, and if it's different from the one you've been riding most recently, you go, oh, this is different. A few minutes later, it's then mesh it's like integrating with it, like in the Matrix or Ghost in the Shell. You're basically becoming at one with the software. Symbiotic?
What's Venom?
Oh, I don't know. But that thing, yeah. So you and Venom go together. You do that with the bike. And then you change to another bike and you go, oh, this is noticeably different. 5 minutes later, it becomes the new norm. And you're just like, yeah, okay, this is cool.
Back to your point about the frame material and ride feel. How many road bikes have I reviewed recently? And they're all 32 mil tire clearance or 35 mil tire clearance, and the tires are getting bigger and softer and squishier. And it's like, then you really can't know. It's just what you're just reviewing how the tires feel.
But that's good information, I think, to a watcher, a reader, whatever it is. I think that actually still, if you go, I reviewed these 5 bikes and I can't tell a difference, that is useful information.
Well, you can tell a difference, but it's just not a very big difference. And there's other factors, like that's why we changed the wheels. So at least there's a little bit of consistency.
You have your house wheels.
Yeah, have the house wheels on. But then the tires, if we didn't pump them up as much that day, that's the biggest difference. It's all about the tires, especially with the gravel stuff now. It's like you just want that sweet spot of the right pressure, and then any frame is going to feel real good.
It's why we basically bank on about you being comfortable on the bike, because if you are comfortable, you're going to be able to ride it. And then the other thing is that you look at the bike and you want to ride it.
Exactly.
Those are the two important things.
And I think actually what it boils down to is there isn't going to be one best bike for Thomas. Probably. It's probably that there's lots of ones that are all going to be pretty good. Mm-hmm. And therefore, it actually just comes down to like your choice, whichever I think you can almost get bogged down in, well, which is going to be the best. But again, it comes back to it's really difficult spending so much money on a bike when a lot of the time you don't get to test ride it. Like it's such a flawed system.
Someone's going to I rode the Pinarello. Just use this as an example. I rode the Pinarello. It had the length stem on that they recommend for that size. It's like 100 mil stem. Someone watching this who is less flexible than me could be like, oh, I really want that Pinarello. Like they said that was a good bike. Buy it, find out that they have to run a 60 mil stem. With that head angle, that bike is then going to ride completely different. Completely different. And it's just like, how do we get that across? And that's the challenge of making a first look. Even though it's not a full long-term review, I want to at least get that across. And it's a work in progress, it always is. It
is. I think probably the reason that you end up with phrases like it has progressive geometry, it's nimble yet feels planted. You end up with that in reviews. And he's talking about typed reviews. I think number one, it's priming. I think that a lot of these bikes come with press releases that will say, it's like a marketing spiel, and it will, it'll include facts, but then it will include opinion dressed up as fact or whatever. And actually the hardest part of any reporting job is being able to cut out the bullshit, find out what's relevant, and actually repackage it for the audience that you're speaking to. And I'm not saying that these people aren't doing it, but I think you're primed. If something says, it's progressive geometry, it's nimble, then you go, oh yeah, it is. Oh yeah, I feel that actually. In the same way if you say, oh, this wine's strawberry, you go, yeah, I feel it. And also, they have to fill their, I don't know, I think a video review is so much more beneficial because you get to speak to people in a very conversational way. Whereas if you were writing down, oh, I don't know, I don't feel a difference. You can't say that in every single review that you write. It's a very particular job, is reviewing a bike. And I know that I couldn't do it because I can't feel a difference between anything.
But that's the reality.
Yeah.
They are very similar.
Most customers are like you.
Yeah. But also I haven't ridden much stuff. I just ride carbon.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, this is it. Maybe I'm like a frog or a lobster who's like in a hot pot and doesn't realize that they're slowly getting boiled to death. As in, like, I'm incredibly uncomfortable on my bikes and I know that, but I'm not doing anything about it. And I'm just so used to the discomfort that it just feels like the norm. And maybe I could be better on something else, but I'm not going to go out and buy.
James always
other
says
bikes
he's a Bike Fit James. It still surprises him how happy people are to be in pain, how tolerant they are, and how they will still go through it in order to ride a bike.
Yeah.
That's how good riding a bike is.
Totally.
This is awesome.
And I know that I only really enjoy rides where I've got other people with me, and I think it's because it's a distraction from discomfort.
It doesn't have to. Have you got your fit?
I got my fit on the June.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't say that out loud in case someone comes.
Oh no.
I got
the phone man.
I've got my bike fit some point in June. Date not disclosed. So yeah, perhaps I'll come back and I won't have my physique shoes and I won't have my this and my that and my other that I always thought was comfortable. But you don't know until you
know.
Yeah. So what we're saying about this bike review is a bullshit, basically, is what they're saying.
Well, in most cases they are bullshit. Probably what I would say to people, which I always say about most things, is go and experience it. At the end of the day, you can use reviews, but then discount brands that you can't try.
Yeah.
So would you buy a car just off of like reading about it, having not driven it, having not seen it in the flesh? Probably not. The same should probably apply to bikes. If you don't have the opportunity to go and ride a bike and actually give it a go and ride it like for more than just 30 seconds around the block, you want to be taken out for a couple of hours on a proper bike ride or whatever is a typical ride for you. You should be trying it on that. And if someone says no, go, right, okay, well, I'm going to discount that brand then.
Another reason why bike shops were so great, having a demo fleet.
Exactly, yeah. And the reality is a lot of bike brands do have demo fleets that they use for marketing purposes. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of their distributors or one of the companies that sell those bikes would be able to access that if needs be. Because at the end of the day, if you're buying a bike that's costing a lot of money, if you go to a bike shop that sells them and go, I want to try this bike, they're going to try and facilitate that. And if they can't, don't buy it. It's their loss. Ride stuff. See what you like.
Do you have an unpopular opinion? We want to hear it. Send yours to wildonespodcast@cademedia.co.uk and you might feature on a future episode.
And don't forget, you can send us your questions and comments for listeners' takeover, like this one from Will in Wrexham, Wales. Who says, I'm a regular cyclist with a competitive mindset, and as much as I try to go slow, I really struggle. The words, faster, why aren't you going fast, are always in the back of my head.
Oh.
But I went for a ride with my brother, who isn't the fastest or fittest on the bike. We averaged 12 to 14 miles an hour instead of my usual 18 to 21 miles an hour. And I couldn't help but notice how much better the ride was. Seeing more, greeting people instead of flying past them, it was just a better experience. I
completely and utterly agree. Every time I ride with fast people and I make them go slow, they go, that was amazing. When we did Spain, and I was like, I refuse to do more than 100k a day, and we are going slow. And then you would get to the end of the day, and you'd be like, "That was great. It was so chill." I'm like, "Yes,
better
chill riding's the best."
Yeah, but that's fine if you want to go fast. Like different strokes for different folks. You're allowed to want to go fast also. Anyway, let me continue. He says, however, the following day, I still found myself gradually increasing speed and falling back into the same trap of thinking I have to go fast. I've removed the average speed from my head unit and even gone as far as changing to the map screen instead of the data screen to avoid looking at it. But because it's been so long and the foundation of going fast all the time is embedded into my riding style and positioning, I'm really struggling. Any advice or tips from you guys to help with this, or any experiences you can share, would be incredible. Love the podcast. So Will is saying he actively wants to go slow. He's finding it more enjoyable when he goes slow, but he is so in the routine of going fast all the time, and almost like a really negative mindset and almost like a brain worm of faster. Why aren't you going fast? It's quite negative, isn't it?
This was taught to me by Tyler.
Ride a mountain
cyclist. Bike. No. Because then you'll be going slow but still going hard.
Yeah.
This doesn't count. Wear a t-shirt.
Wear a t-shirt.
Oh. T-shirt ride. That's it.
So like it takes away the psychological...
Different thing. Different bike, but a slightly less accessible way of doing the same thing. Like if I went riding that Brompton, I can see up there. I'm not really getting any KOMs. It feels like a different activity.
I guess maybe that's why I like jean shorts as well, because it's the same thing. It's a different type of ride.
We're going down to Garmin Ride Out, right? Garmin are a channel sponsor. We're there at their event. I think the next day, we're going to do a ride with a bike shop called the Woods Cyclery, which I've talked about before. And that they do a ride which is like party pace gravel. They do multiple rides, but there's one in particular that Jack was telling me about, and it's the equivalent of a stroll. And it's just so enjoyable.
Can I ask a
really
question about this? I've asked you this already and I haven't had an answer.
Yeah.
We're taking road bikes down for the event. How are we doing that gravel ride the next day?
Slowly.
Or just on our road bikes?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to break it to you, but we're also leaving at like 10 in the morning the day after.
Well.
Some teething issues we haven't quite sorted out there.
It's going to be an early start, Jimmy.
What I do know is for Ride Out itself, we are going to be doing party pace.
Yeah. I'm going to be buzzing along in zone 4. These guys are all going to be doing party pace.
Last year, I was last on the road, and we even stopped at the pub.
I'm hoping for this year as well.
Yeah.
You don't need to hope. It will happen.
Good.
Yeah. So come to Garmin Ride Out and then sit at the back with us and you will definitely have
Bring
a nice
a t-shirt
slow
and
time.
jean shorts.
Yeah. So I wrote down some things about this. Do some reading on habits. But it's actually a common misconception. You know how everyone says a habit takes like 21 days to form a new habit? I feel like that's like a thing that I hear a lot from people. According to Calm, it actually takes way longer to form a new habit. The average time frame based on research is 66 to 106 days, depending on the type of person you are and what the habit is. Some are more complex than others. But I think I would say if not having any data didn't help because you just naturally pick up the pace, use your data to your advantage. And this is something I do as well, because my goal has been to keep my heart rate below 170, 165, something like that.
Should be below 150, really.
Fine. I know I can do 4 hours at 165 heart rate average. So, and that's what we're doing at Garmin Ride Out. So that's what I've been working on. And I use my data not to make me go faster, but to keep me slower. So pick a goal, which is either a certain heart rate, certain power number, take all of the other irrelevant metrics off the screen. And if you're competitive, use that mentality to your advantage. Can you be disciplined enough to stick to the training plan, to stick to the plan, stay in control? It doesn't come naturally without thinking about it at first, but the more you practice, it becomes more natural, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually very happy that I started Project 400 at the beginning of this year, which is the goal of doing 400 hours worth of exercise this year, or what I deem to be exercise. And the main reason I really like it is when I'm out, if I get that sensation that I'm pushing too hard, I go, well, the faster I go, the more I'm losing towards my goal of 400 hours. So it actually encourages me to slow down, because I go, right, okay, well, if I actually take 10 minutes longer on every single time I commute, then over a year, that's going to stack up to plenty of time. So I actually want to go slower. And the really surprising thing compared to how much riding I used to do and how much I used to do it at like way too higher intensity is I'm doing most of my riding now so chill, and my fitness is finally just coming back. Every time I ride, every time I do want to put some power in, it's there. And that's coming from not riding hard. That's coming from riding slow. And I'm really enjoying it.
It's like when we did that Garmin watch thing and it barely took me out of zone 2.
Yeah.
But it makes you very fit.
The one other thing I thought of is using reminders and cues. So you know how people will write little messages and stick them on their top tubes? Something like that, saying like, chill out, bro. Or
So instead of shut up legs, you just go, listen to your legs.
yeah, something like that.
We should get Mr. Demotivator stickers.
Mr. Demotivator, yeah, that's what you need. Or you can set up reminders on your head unit. Like you can do that for eating and drinking. We've talked about that before. Set up a reminder. It'd be like, are you still going slow? I don't know how the reminders work, but I know that is a feature that can be used. So maybe look into that. Actually, sorry, I do have one more.
Yeah.
Ride with your brother more. Like you said, like you had a really good experience. You went slow. I don't think anyone has ever looked back on their time in this life and been like, do you know what? I wish I'd spent less time with my family.
That's so true. Have you ever?
Except from Jimmy.
I agree with that.
If you get on with your brother and you had a nice time, that'll be part of the reason that it was such an enjoyable ride as well. Like, I like riding with people more because it's more enjoyable than being on your own sometimes. So ride more with your brother as well. Or find some other slow people to ride with, slow fun people.
Do you ever think about how many times you'll actually, if you calculated how many times you'll see a family member if you don't live in the same place before you die, and it's like 30 less.
I was actually thinking about that just before I went to sleep last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's sad. I know. I've been having horrible dreams lately as well, just in a weird mindset. It's for coming into a therapy session now.
It's hay fever tablets.
Yeah, maybe.
It is.
Is it?
No, I don't know, but I'm convinced it is.
We don't take the same hay fever tablets.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
All of them.
Okay.
They're all laced
With
drugs.
That's literally the point.
Dream drugs.
That is the point of antihistamines, is that they are drugs.
No, extra drugs.
Yeesh. Have I been a bit more chill this week? I purposely didn't have a coffee.
Oh, you should have a coffee.
Calm. You've been on calm.com.
Yeah, calm.com, yeah. And had some hay fever tablets to...
Really massive downers.
Did you listen to last week's podcast as part of editing it and go, whoa, I was hyped up? Because if the answer's no, then...
I didn't notice any
fine.
of it.
No, I thought I was just in a good mood. So just like firing on all cylinders.
So what I said was, if you edit the podcast and you find out that you were a bit intense, it's probably because of the coffee. If actually what you're saying is like, no, you're happy with it, then you shouldn't be not having coffee because of that. Because of what I said.
I know. I did put a note at the top of the podcast this week saying, Emily, just shh, let other people speak this week, because I thought maybe I'd spoke too much, or I don't know. It made me very self-aware and self-conscious, Jimmy. You didn't like
Nobody should put Emily in the corner.
Okay.
Especially Emily.
Emily's always in the corner.
Yeah, I am. I sit in the corner. It's where I sit.
Oh, right. Okay. Actually, did you put yourself there, didn't you?
Yeah.
But you shouldn't.
Okay. Thanks. Well, last week I got a token down and now I've got a token up. So next week I'll just be level. Be good. Okay. Wrap us up, Jimmy, please.
That's all for this week. Thank you all for listening. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on the next episode. I don't know why I said don't new way. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on the next episode. See you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Don't. Maybe it's Maybelline.